Hello, everybody. If you're joining us, having been waiting in the lobby there, you are welcome. I will slowly start us off today, given I know others will be joining. So, in terms of today's topic, you will see it on screen, and this is doing more with less, or with the same resourcing. And this is a focus on AI today, which is on everyone's minds, and its relationship to streamlining our membership operations. I will give you probably the key hint about the key message today. We do want to go back to process. A lot of this technology is new, but the challenges are long-standing and persistent. So really, we're saying today, how does AI and your beginnings with that technology really go back to supporting efficiency in your processes? So I'm Matt Dunphy. If you've not met me before on one of these webinars, I'm a lead consultant in learning and development at Get Savvy. We do have the Get Savvy team, certainly Alan and Glenda of the team, available today as well on the technical front. And I'm delighted to say we have Nadine Verstringer from the British Menopause Society as our special guest. Nadine, do you want to say a quick hello and an introduction?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name's Nadine Verstringer, and I'm the Membership and Education Program Manager at the BMS. Just to say, I suppose that the BMS is the British Menopause Society. We're a learned society. We have quite eminent clinicians on our Board of Trustees and Medical Advisory Council, and we're a specialist authority in menopause and post-reproductive health. We also have a women's health concern website which provides information that's written in an accessible way for women and their partners.
Thank you.
So we focus a lot on education.
Thank you. So yes, you may have heard of the BMS if this is new for you. Thanks, Nadine, for that introduction. And certainly Nadine is a client of ours, joining the conversation about where BMS is at in its consideration of AI around its operations. And as Nadine says, a heavy focus on education offerings at the BMS as well. So we'll talk about that. So before we start, just to give you a couple of items of housekeeping, as always, we do record these sessions. Simple message there is there's no need to sort of furiously examine detail on screen. You will get the recording and you can watch again later. Um, do please put any questions you've got in Q&A. We've got a poll coming up quickly this morning. So please do respond there. And if you've got thoughts or questions, drop them into Q&A. And then, as always, as part of this, you'll get a copy of our 2025 research study on AI themes, as well as others. And you'll get a 50% discount to our own LMS course, Managing Technology Change Projects for Business People. Really good if you're considering a change project of any description right now. Just talk a little bit about who we are. I mean, our services do cover all types of technology, really. We have a real focus on learning. So whether it's considering creating your first LMS, changing it, needing some support around strategy and learning, or general implementation support in terms of learning systems, that's what we do. And the other key message, as always, we will emphasize this, we are platform independent. So, we have our own LMS based on Moodle, but we don't kind of align ourselves with any technology supplier or their platform or their technology. So it gives us a fresh perspective, complete objectivity about any choices you are making as our clients. And then again, just to give you a little more on that, kind of in the learning space, let's say, we've got three core services. So we do have our own LMS. It does serve our own education to the sector. But of course, we can offer it to you, whether it's setting up your first LMS or changing at a fixed price and a rapid kind of implementation project. So please do contact us if you're kind of in that space right now where you need a new LMS quickly. In the middle there, we'll talk about this in the demo later, but we do have content digitization and development services. So we know a lot of organizations are really struggling, I would say, to get more content on their LMS or to actually digitize a lot of their very valuable assets. So we do that, and please get in touch if that is your need. And then probably more in the space today, as well as AI, and core technologies in the learning space. We do consultancy around business cases, requirements gathering, supplier selections, and implementation. So, just to talk to you a little bit then about some of our case studies, one of which is the BMS. We'll talk about in a moment, Nadine. But first, let's talk about the Royal Town Planning Institute. So, this is an organisation you may know with over 27,000 members, very much obviously focused on education, membership provision for various professionals in town planning. Very good reputation. I think in terms of the project we are running with them, they've had lots of challenges with their existing LMS. I think, in short, to say they wanted something new and more strategic for the ideas they've got ahead, particularly around their CPD framework. And they also wanted to lift the quality and the volume of the content they will produce in future. So simply we engaged with them strategically around their investment in that. Their various options, we took them through a supplier selection in LMS. They now have a supplier they're very happy with, and they're proceeding with their implementation project, which we're also supporting them with. And again, you can read on screen, but the headline from me on the support we've offered is that clarity and that real safety around the choice of supplier, and the ongoing assurance and an actual support around implementation. So they hope to go live in December, with a good following wind and no major obstacles. And the British Menopause Society, Nadine's already described. I think I'll give a very simple note on the project. And Nadine, maybe if you just say a word or two on your perspective on this. So this is a core technology and LMS support project for us. We've looked at the entire roadmap of what the BMS needs to basically modernize and to really relieve itself of a lot of manual effort across a very busy team. And we're currently at the stage where we've done a business case for investment, secured that, and in both core technology and LMS, we're now gathering requirements to go out to market for some very good technology suppliers in that space. Nadine, do you want to say a word or two on how our project's going and kind of its value?
Yeah, it's good. So just to give a little bit of background, I think. So I've been with the BMS 6 years, and we have grown rapidly in that time. And the demand for our education has really increased with, a lot of menopause media coverage. So we are heavily reliant on Excel spreadsheets. My chief exec has been here for quite a lot longer than I have, and has always had this ambition to look at technology. And it's only now that we're in a position that we can. So we are literally moving from spreadsheets, very manual process. So this is great because we don't have the expertise in-house. And so Alan and Matt are helping to guide us through what we need to do, what we need to think about as well. And obviously they've got the expertise to guide us in terms of where we need to look. Because I think from our experience with looking at an LMS, because we have got one, it's really hard to figure out what exactly is right for us independently of having their
Yes.
expertise with us.
Thank you so much. Those very kind words. I'm sure we haven't given you a bump to say that. It's a very healthy project right now, and I guess I would underline what we feel our clients value is that objective, independent advice and guidance around the choices, both around suppliers and safety around the technology you use, and yes, around these decisions that you need to make along your roadmap. The other thing I'll say, obviously on topic today, is we'll talk with Nadine about her perspective on AI. Getting new technology means getting technology with AI in it. And then it's about making the choices about where you embed it, where you use it more versus less. Great, quick sort of flash on screen of the various learning technologies we are competent across our team in using, whether you use Moodle or anything else, and we have a lot of experience there. And then just very quickly, we'll be breezy on content because we do want to hear more from Nadine today and give you a demo, sort of a window into our services and our technology. But we will talk in a moment about this process efficiency theme, and I think how it does really relate to AI. It should feel like a continuation of becoming more efficient, more streamlined using AI. And we'll talk about some specific examples in operations. We want you to take those away and sort of look at where you might be already considering AI in your own ops. And then we will talk briefly, I'd say, but with Nadine's input about AI for learning. If you've joined one of our webinars before, you'll know we talk a lot about the features that are in a good modern LMS that are AI powered or AI led. A couple of quick demos around our content digitization and our own LMS and its AI features. And please do, if you've got questions, drop them in now. We will make every attempt to answer them either via Glenda in the chat function or ourselves at the end. So we're going to have a quick poll now, and I think Alan's going to flash this up on screen and give a little bit of guidance on results. Alan, if you're available, I think this is just a primer question to say, what have you come to the webinar looking for in particular today? So you see the options appear on screen. And again, this is just to get a sample as we go into the content of the things that are most on your mind. So I'll let you read that. And then maybe, Alan, let me know when we've hit critical mass and what the results look like.
Great. We're just getting some good results through. And let's give it a few more seconds for people to say where they are.
Fantastic.
Great.
So this is
sorry.
great.
I'll just end the poll and then share the results for you to comment on, if that's okay.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'll wait for those to come on screen. Okay, so we've got a strong theme here. I'll just have a quick lean in. Yeah, so brilliant. So we are on topic. You are where we are, looking at where AI will automate your processes. You know, we won't talk at length about the challenge it is about, you know, relieving manual effort and allowing you to focus on higher value activities. So that's great. Most of you are in that place. There's a nice spread today, actually. Yeah, and okay, good. I think that the second place there is about where AI fits into your LMS. So brilliant. It's kind of good to know we're aligned, but we will also talk about the other topics we have shared in that poll. So again, if we then progress to our introduction, perfect. Most of us are in this place of, okay, AI exists, everyone's talking about it, and we're still dealing with legacy system challenges or our CRM development. Where do we fit it in? Where does it make most sense? So what that kind of means for us in terms of our research study this year, a really strong stat, and it probably is shifting slightly since we took this result, is 80% of the organizations we spoke to, that was over 100 leaders, said that they are really in the space of AI awareness, discussion and debate right now. Only 20% are actually looking at adoption and experimenting with AI tools and technology. So we want to achieve this tipping point of going into actual activity around implementing and using AI. And so the key thing for us, you know, kind of using this step back is let's look at process. We understand process. Just to give you a little bit more from the research study, you know, what kind of things did we see as barriers people were describing? Well, there are ethical risks, no matter what type of membership organization you are. And obviously, some of the reputation of AI is that it will mean people lose their jobs, or it will cut what we do versus what the machines do. We are optimists. We think if you harness AI very well, you can manage these challenges, particularly in how you communicate what you're using with your members or your learners. And there are reputational risks around that. I always think of trade unions, but even the professional membership body space, if you're giving advice about managing AI in your profession, you know, you have to be careful about how you use it yourself as an organization. And probably a key one, which we all recognize, is, you know, we're trying to grow capabilities in-house in our professional membership organizations, whether that's core work or educational work. And AI capabilities are much in demand right now. So how do we get the expertise we need, whether that's in-house or with third-party support? So, you know, these barriers are there, but we're going to talk about the optimism around, you know, how we actually work with AI. Just a couple of things to expand. I think these are things we found from some of our client work or just talking to people. You know, there is an educational piece there for leadership. And if that step is not taken or it's lightly considered, you can find then what leaders are saying to their teams around AI is distorted or it has gaps in it. So whether it's a technical leader in your organization or a true business leader, you know, having some of that education as a group can really help. it's interesting how many organizations in the sector still don't have that laser sharp focus on value. That's not a critique, but kind of going back to, well, what is the value of what we offer? That can often be, well, that's where we should probably place a lot of our strategic thinking and use AI to reduce the effort. So it's very much our advice to sort of focus on value. Sometimes what we see is people go straight to system and they say, well, what AI widgets, components, gadgets do we need? Or let's go and grab a load of them off the shelf. And when we focus on process, which we'll talk about more in a moment, that's going to probably mean we embed AI in a more considered way. And we can, of course, then translate that into systems requirements. And then this really, for me, I'm a big person on changing behaviors, having a good culture. Sometimes we don't spend enough time where we should around empowering our teams to explore and experiment with things like AI as solutions to problems. So again, no critique there, but if you think we need to sit around more and brainstorm what our key problems are and how we solve them with technology, for me, that's a cultural piece. So what can we do? I think these are not rocket science. We do recommend that you whatever way it is, whether that's online research, getting support, or just discussing this, raise the education levels in your leadership teams, and then even if you're a smaller organization, understand how you cascade that to your operational teams. Um, you can really focus on identifying value by probably talking about the areas that really matter most to your members, to your learners. Again, obvious, but if you're getting their feedback or you're really having this headspace, you should be able to identify where AI will give you the most bang for your buck. This is the kind of key point we'll talk about today. Let's look at the process opportunities, and then let's move to how we can ask our tech supplier, who has got a lot of expertise, where to help us embed it. So that's kind of the process systems view. And again, this is an empowerment piece. Maybe it's training, upskilling, allowing people the latitude to go and look at AI, as part of their role. But I think that autonomy does allow people to come back with suggestions, ideas, and to really highlight where your organization could use it. So this is our first conversation piece. I think we'll do brief ones, and then we've got a bit more with you, Nadine, around learning. But just to sort of say, this is kind of a general question about where BMS excels. It's obviously through the lens of efficiency and operations, and where some of your struggles might be right now that can be aided by AI.
Okay. So I think that where we excel is that personal touch with our members. So we've got about 2,700 members. We do have long-standing members, and we also have, quite a few new ones recently. We highly value our members, and so in terms of AI, we need to be very careful because things like a chatbot, for example, is not what we are. So we give that personal touch. So it's using AI in a subtle way in that situation.
Yes.
Where we struggle at the moment is that we work with Excel spreadsheets. So there is a lot of duplication and there is no single source of truth for a person. So I can see that a member's been with us for the last 4 years. I can see the very first date they joined us. But other than that, I can't see what courses they've done, what they've purchased from us, whether they've come to our conference or not. And we do, reply in person to each member, and we're, very approachable and will help. So yeah, that's a struggle. The Excel spreadsheets reeking data and not knowing everything about a person.
Yes, and I might reframe that. Thank you so much for that. So I think, yeah, you've already described a lot, and it's almost like you can see it through your website and through the various socials that you use, that this personal touch, around a sensitive topic where women truly need the support and others need the understanding. You don't want to lose that. And I think there are interesting conversations about how you can achieve that digitally with AI. But what we probably say is if you save time in some of your process areas, it gives the people in your team back the time to engage with your members and offer that white glove, that personal approach, both face to face and over the phone. And then the other things you've said, absolutely okay. If an organization is spreadsheet based, moving to a CRM, you can start to use things like Microsoft Copilot or other tools which are alongside some of your core system needs. And as you start to use your CRM, you'll already see that AI exists to support you. So even if you're kind of not using a modern CRM that's very developed, you should be starting to say, where can we take action? And I know, Nadine, from some of our conversations, we're broaching that right now. Brilliant, thank you. So we'll certainly bring Nadine in several other times here. And what we want to do then is just to talk a little bit now about what are these examples. We have had a lot of internal consideration of membership organizations who have operational challenges and many processes. Where might AI actually practically offer support, and particularly reducing effort and giving people back time? So there's several areas we've identified, and we'll open out to each before hearing Nadine again. So look, there are many data entry tasks that we all do. Again, if your organization is spreadsheet based, this is your working life really. But even if you're in CRM, there are input tasks that take a lot of time. They are low value, they are routine and annoying. Let's just name it. So we'll talk in a moment about how AI can really help in that space. And there are broader data management challenges. This is particularly, again, as Nadine's indicated, around gaining your single version of truth. In certain CRMs, even in spreadsheets, you have to put various pieces of data together. You have to look at multiple sources of data to try and create one picture. So again, in a moment, we'll talk about how AI is really helping with that. I would probably say this is more in our purview at the moment. Everyone has danced around their use of open ChatGPT. We're obviously having a very sensible conversation about more protected use of GPT technologies, asking something questions, it giving you back information. There is a need to do that securely with AI because of your intellectual property for your organization. I'm sure people are very aware of that. But there are some newer things around membership communications that we can highlight, which are useful. A couple of other themes then. How much time do we spend on planning in teams, whether we're a leader or we're embedded in operations? Scheduling, coordinating, minuting, action taking. These are all highly manual, mid-value things to do, and AI certainly has a way to automate and support there. And the final thing, which is probably a crucial area of most membership organizations, in the end-to-end management of our event processes or our marketing campaign processes, where could we bring back time? So that's sort of 5 areas we really think are key to embedding your first AI practice. So again, no obligation to fully read what's on screen. I will summarize. But yeah, let's say some of the challenges are data entry, finding errors, fixing errors, keeping a spreadsheet maintained, keeping a database populated with high quality data. Some of the things that AI is truly doing, and some of this is appearing in Excel, certainly, and then in most CRMs, is the ability for the system, the machine, to detect where errors exist. Now, Excel was already doing a version of this, but now it's been supercharged. So it's highlighting for you where data inconsistencies are. And indeed, in some circumstances, it's now getting to the stage where it's fixing on your behalf. So that level of just having to be always aware of, like, does this spreadsheet have a lot of errors in? There's much improvement here. And that is just having kind of communication with AI to say, yes, that's right, you can make that correction, or your review being lighter because things are being fixed by the system. So that's certainly your kind of day-to-day data entry, routine tasks. We probably would say data is the most routine processing we all do. And we think about broader data management. Again, if I summarize, the challenge is being, how do we actually keep consistency if we must use multiple tables, or how do we actually get insight from data that has integrity and quality issues? So AI is doing a number of things. It is able to actually automatically merge data in certain instances in Excel and using databases, and present you a challenge, option A, option B, which one is correct, which one is most up to date. So that's really helpful versus having to scan both spreadsheets or constantly, again, be hyper vigilant around that. And then what we're finding is the analytics and the summary of lots of data is becoming brilliant, particularly in CRM. So being able to say to you, your member has done all of this activity in the last year. This is a summary of that activity and even a suggestion of what you do next. And that does extend to the type of charts and dashboards that you can create in CRM, which has got AI power. And just say, hopefully you're noting some of these down in terms of like, oh, maybe that's useful for us. Let's ask our supplier about that. Membership communications, the challenge is always the amount of time it takes both to create your campaigns and your comms and to personalize them. I would say the supercharged moment with AI is not actually just ChatGPT or Copilot or your own GPT editing down text for you, creating something that seems high quality content. It is actually in the personalization. So in a CRM system, and we still have trigger email campaigns, if you use those, there is more and more ability to personalize messaging to members, learners, both online and via CRM, so that we're not doing so much of that thinking. And, we talk about comms here, we'll talk about marketing in a moment, but that's really useful if you want to try and spread your messages across various membership bases or segments. The fourth one then on the list is planning processes. Hopefully some of you are seeing this. This is one where I will mention Monday. We've talked about the Microsoft packages like Copilot, which is a real game changer if you're using that or want to use it. We're talking about most CRMs having these features now, or they're on the roadmap for tech suppliers. But even there are tools that are out there or have been out there that are now much more AI powered. So if you think about something like Monday, it was always a planning tool versus Microsoft Project or something else, Smartsheets. That's now becoming way more sophisticated about actually plotting your project plans, predicting where obstacles might exist. And then another example is in your Outlook or in your calendar tools that you're using, much better at identifying where the gaps are. And then, of course, the other example of this is how brilliant things like Teams are getting at summarizing meetings. Key summary of discussion and agreement and actions. Now, you might still need to check those, but that leads you to action quicker and it removes the effort of things like minuting. So some of you maybe see more of that, but we do think planning is a key area where AI is helping. And then finally, then this is kind of core stuff, particularly if you're speaking to your tech supplier at the moment about your CRM or even online services. In terms of event tech, I think it's things like being able to market better and fill delegate spaces, or know which segments are actually taking up your events versus which ones are dormant and might need more communication. Marketing similar, the analytics around who you're gaining traction with and being able to predict the success of campaigns is coming on leaps and bounds. So you might have had to do this natural thinking or guessing before, spending time on that. The system is literally producing insights at a greater rate now that you can actually use to inform what you do next for your marketing. So again, I wouldn't suggest whistle stop, but these are 5 core use cases or examples where in your processes you could say, yes, we need help with that, or let's go and take this away and talk to our supplier or do some more research or discussion around it. So again, I'll come to you, Nadine, on this one. So just to say, we've said, ambitious yet achievable. What are the improvements that we talked about that would most appeal to the BMS in terms of its general operations?
So one thing I'm already using is Copilot. I know not everyone in the team does, but I find that really good when you're drafting something. I would never use what it gives me, but it gives me a basis to work on, and it takes out a lot of that initial thinking and laying out. So I'm a scientist. I'm not particularly eloquent in how I write, I think. So that it helps and saves me a lot of time in that respect.
Yeah.
Also, we have our website to those people who land on our site. You know, you can purchase membership, you can register for an event, buy a book. All looks great, but what's actually happening in the background is all that information that's being keyed in, you know, for that purchase or that registration then has to be rekeyed. Sometimes we get people, you know, writing or phoning and saying, I've just registered and I don't have a receipt because people's expectations are it's immediate.
Hmm.
Well, it isn't with us because someone has to put it in and someone has to do a mail merge and create a receipt. So um, I think the AI in the CRM linking it to our website is going to make a huge difference. That rekeying of information will stop, and that's a large, you know, chunk of time. The fact that our um, customer service will improve because I think it will be more streamlined and people, you know, will receive their receipts and their confirmations a lot quicker. The analytics and trend detection, I think that would be really good for us because, you know, we don't, we do get feedback, but we're not necessarily looking at anything intelligently. You know, you know, we're six full-time equivalents on our headcount, so there's a lot to
Yeah.
be doing, and we don't have the capacity for that. We manually write out timelines, so we know, you know, what we need to do on a certain date for an event. So again, this AI nudging us and sorting that out for us would save us a huge amount of time.
Yes, so I will summarize. Thank you so much for that. I mean, again, you won't have heard it here first, but you don't have to have a Microsoft Dynamics CRM to use Copilot. Okay, there is a free version with your Office packages and apps. There is then Copilot Studio, which becomes more about using agents. But certainly, you're right. I think it is one of the best AI productivity hacks out there at the moment. And if you do some more reading about it, as you say, scientist or no, if you do your research, you'll find exactly where it's helping day to day. Um, Thank you for the general point about operations, but I think certainly you're saying, across all the five areas we've covered, plus others that you're describing, if you can really implement, let's say, 5 to 8 key operational improvements you're using AI that reduce or eliminate the effort, your focus goes much more to, not sending receipts, but communicating about, exciting people about the event or preparing them, or indeed the broader event management itself. Um, so two brilliant things there. And I think you're right. I would keep emphasizing anything you're learning about your CRM or AI tools around insights and analytics and kind of the personalized nudges it's giving members or learners online is all going to help you. It is just aiding your thinking in a way that we would have done, as you say, whether it's planning or other examples, ourselves much more before. So notes of optimism there, and thank you, Nadine. We're going to do a lighter section on learning today, but anyone who's joined our webinars knows that this is our real focus. So just to say, how do we translate the kind of messages from core ops to AI for learning? And I'll bring all of these in. It's the same things, but I'll specify, I don't think there is a great insight there for what AI features an LMS has at the moment, but I think it is coming along. whether it's our events, webinars, or others, there is a further education on exactly what AI exists within an LMS. So do seek that out. Focus on LMS value. Some senior leadership teams, they miss the moment around exactly what learning is doing for the organization. BMS is a perfect example. It's education driven. It's for healthcare professionals. So, they need that, that CPD support of the broader collaboration and learning. Again, LMS is not just a system, it's a system of processes. So where are these opportunities? And that probably leads to number 4 as well. Can you sit down and map out your learner journeys and say, where is the burden right now? Where are our key problems, which our learners have described to us, or are the hidden factory of work that we have to deal with? Let's pinpoint those and then speak to our supplier about how AI can help. So again, key message on focusing on our process and the opportunities there. A little bit of a whistle stop tour, we call it our greatest hits or our latest greatest hits. AI is really helping with personalized learner journeys. I always say the word signpost. It's pointing people and saying, you've just finished that course, try this one next. You're at this stage of this course, need any help? That's really available now and certainly helping. Another example around AI is progress. And I think this is both aiding the learner of suggesting their progress to them, particularly if they need to kind of catch up and keep up, but also predicting to you how people are doing. I'll come to that a little bit more in a moment. Whether it's using the GPD to create content, structures, storyboards that you can then edit and refine, or actually within certain LMS, it's surfacing quizzes based on the content that you've created. This is another area, so you're not having to think up all of these knowledge checks and then kind of create them ad nauseum. The power of AI is actually surfacing some of these to the learner, certainly in a way it hasn't before. Another example there is around the prediction, as I said, of results and outcomes. Again, whether it's CPD framework or you actually have a more thorough qualification learning journey, you're going to want to know what is the success rate, where are people at risk, whether they're true students or learners, activity learners. So AI is giving much better prediction of the cohorts of people who are doing well and who might need more support. A couple of last things here. This is probably a boon to everybody. Test processes in any system can be arduous. You need to do it because you need to be the one who approves the system. But there are actually ways for like error detection in Excel for AI to be checking for, I guess, accident spots, where you've not picked up something that needs resolution, whether that's coded or otherwise. So we can't avoid testing ourselves, but we're getting more testing support inside LMS. And the last one there is a big theme, which I'll talk about in our demo, which we'll come to momentarily. But we are using avatars. We can still use human speakers talking to camera, but AI as tutor, as a technology is really, really advancing and becoming super impressive. So that's some of the things that are actually out there right now. So Nadine, to come back to you again. So this is a bit like, what do you excel at? A simpler question. What matters most to you about people's education at BMS?
So we offer high quality, evidence-based, peer-reviewed education. And in order to do that, we also, as a society, have to make sure that we are, organizing everything really well, so that whoever our clinicians are who are providing education can just focus on doing that themselves because we have everything covered. So the delegate journey is really important to us. So we need to maintain our reputation. I like the idea of a single sign-on. We don't have that at the moment.
Hmm.
So our LMS needs a separate sign-on to our members area of the website. And we do get people calling us saying we've changed the passwords, we can't get on, and they get into a pickle, because there isn't single sign-on. So, things like that are really important to us moving
Yeah.
forward.
So I hear definitely. I know you've got the management of the menopause certificate. It's like a flagship education piece
Yeah.
for healthcare professionals in the space. Broad spectrum of people who need to know more and be better at supporting people, going through the menopause. So certainly you've got some kind of core value based focus there, and I love that. Single sign on, which is technology that we should just be having. It prevents the bouncer at the door to your LMS saying, sorry, can't get you in right now. You can get people as experience of entering the LMS as well as your other systems to a level that is seamless. Great. And to bring that on a step further, again, I've called it ambitious yet achievable. If you think about AI for learning at BMS, and some of the things we've already discussed, what do you think are the things you would go to first in your new LMS?
Um, so one thing that I'm interested from hearing you talk about is the system testing. Um, it's we have one online course we've been running for 18 months. It's our first LMS, but one of the things we're seeing is that when there are updates, we need to check the entire course just to make sure nothing has been um, disrupted when there are changes. So any testing that can help with that type of thing would be really good.
Got you. And I
Um,
can, oh, sorry, yeah, you
no,
go again and I'll summarize.
okay. Any subtle automation basically would be really good. So anything that improves and facilitates their experience. We do have to keep the warmth that we have as I've mentioned as a membership society. Um, Also, I think the course we have at the moment, you're reading, you are listening to videos, but there's a lot of reading. So if we could add in, um, the audio and have people actually listening as well, I think that would really help learners, as well.
Yes, and I know we talked about this sort of in the client project. So yeah, I think firstly to say, I was leapt in there. We do need to have our own responsibility for testing, but you're absolutely right. There are many, many tasks that are both really system based that you shouldn't have to do, but sometimes you do, that are being dealt with by AI now, and there are certain user acceptance test cases that AI can do on your behalf. So you can really focus on the end-to-end journey and the experience, which is what we probably are there for in terms of LMS testing. I love the idea of subtle automation. I will steal it. That's probably what we want overall. It's just like we still want to do our job. We still want to, be driving, but just, oh, that's been taken care of. That data issue is now resolved, or you've presented me a summary rather than needing to dig into the detail. And as I said, I'm confident in LMS. These sort of automations are appearing. And I think it's interesting. I think it's okay to say we're not going to go down the road of avatars at scale, but things like being able to create either better closed captions, which is now using AI, or screen recordings using, without having to use an actor or a voiceover, which I do favor using real professionals, but you also have more economical options in different circumstances. So those things can be a way to explore that kind of text to voice AI functionality as well. Brilliant. And it is probably a wrap up question because we've kind of touched on it. I might almost reframe the question. In your LMS process work with you and the team right now, if you could embed AI in some key places to make your lives easier, what would those be?
Uh, to make life easier, well, probably as I said, if there's any system testing, like, it could just test that the links don't have an error message when they're clicked on, for
Yeah.
example. Um, Things like that. Anything that would help facilitate recall for a learner, because what we want our healthcare professionals to do is to be able to go into the clinic and put what they're learning into action really quickly so that they're helping women. So, things like, I don't know, audio podcasts that summarize what they might have looked at, so they're refreshing their memory of the key points. Yeah, those sorts of things, nudging them. They're really clinicians are really busy people. We train nurses as
Yeah.
well. So again, having we do it, but having them nudged. You remember you've got a year, you signed up on this date, you've got this much left, you've got this much of the course left to do, it's approximately this many hours. That would be fantastic, just to try and help them to organize themselves.
Yes, thank you. And I think you've specified in testing what is often an onerous task, which is testing each link, testing it goes off successfully to where it should. And I do believe AI is helping with that automatic, highlight of where some of these links might not be consistent or intact. Yes, I thank you for those suggestions because I think certainly nudge learning and continuous learning after the course is finished, after someone has listened to a podcast. I certainly agree with this is a big theme in AI for learning and in a personalized way that can be achieved. And certainly you're right. If we say, for me, it's Teams, but if Teams can summarize a meeting very, very well, the AI technology is being used in podcasts or long form interviews to say the key points that Nadine and Matt discussed were these three things, these five things. And there is a trust factor there, but I do believe that AI is getting better at finding the right things to summarize. Brilliant. Thank you so much. You can probably officially stand down until we will see what questions we might have today. We're going to have a quick look through the demo. What I'll do is I'll talk about our content demo today. And if you want a look at that, please do get in touch. I'll explain kind of what we do there. And then I will show you just kind of on point kind of general AI features that exist in our LMS and where they are really driving learning specifically. So just to say, in terms of our content, we have three levels of content we tend to recommend digitizing. Level one is much more about just lifting things from flat text, white backgrounds, and just kind of the sense that things have been done in a very almost PowerPoint-esque way. So level one for us is about just giving you good branding and good light design functionality. Level two is much more about adding interaction and a level of call and answer, so not just presenting the content on screen like we're doing now, but as offering scenarios or options, things to click. Because we do know the more active you are in your learning process, the more you're going to retain. And then level three for us is getting really exciting around immersion. I would say elements of augmented reality or being able to move spatially around your learning environment and again select things. And level three for us does usually include adding quizzes or knowledge checks. So that's a summary today, but we certainly have an organized demo we could share with you if you want. And then just to say on the kind of, we're very transparent. If you were using us for these purposes, we know sometimes it involves volume. So you can see on screen a summary of how we split it. We split it by the levels of sophistication you want, and you can prioritize different levels for different types of content based on its value to you and your learners. But we do then have a very transparent rate card for volume. How much do you want to do? You just need to do a bit to get a bit further ahead with your content. You need to almost industrialize getting several courses on as part of a project or as part of an improvement exercise. So again, that's a signpost to that today. But if you do want to know more, just come back in touch with us via Alan after the webinar. And if you've been on a webinar before, you might have availed of your discount code and be looking through this. I certainly know Nadine has been in the course because she was sort of asking me questions and feeding it back to me yesterday. What we're going to do is, let's say we are in our LMS. So like all good courses online, this isn't just AI. We've created our journey, our course structure, over 10 modules, about becoming a brilliant technology change manager, project manager. So, we've done a lot, which certainly when we created this, it was pre-AI, but we know now we would be able to get a lot of support with storyboarding and course content, and then add the things that are specific to us. Through each stage, you have a lot of immersion. So you would see this appear as your next stage. And what AI is starting to do is sort of, again, summarize where you've been. So you've just learned this. This is the key thing for you that is coming up next. So we can use behavioral data to suggest things. And probably more generally, this is a look at our course and what each module might contain. But we are very good at progressing people with flow through our modules, because we know that's important. Key thing here is our use of avatars. We basically took all the players or the roles in a classic technology change project at different levels, and we created avatars. Now, we could have had 8 actors, but that would have been a much higher income investment for us. AI technology, we use Synesthesia, is brilliant at being able to add personas, accents, translate your scripting into sensible presentation. Those avatars then appear and speak to you or guide you through modules, which again is another key hack in terms of immersing.
What is the best way to make sure the process to select a supplier is fair and legal?
You should hear this on screen. So you're hearing them kind of speak to you.
There are some key things we can do to make sure everyone can
we
see
chose
the
kind of
process is fair and
general
auditable.
America because we
have to make sure
we'd have customers there.
The rules and criteria
actually
of the
that,
selection process
it felt
are
nice
made
and
clear to
clean
all the suppliers in
style-wise
the
for us.
RFP and also
So you
to our
get the
internal
avatars
selection
talking
team.
to you as you
All
move
potential
through,
suppliers
and then
are
you've got
treated
these
equally.
immersive
For
options
instance, if one
that
of
you
them
can then
requires more time
select
or
and
additional
progress
meetings,
through.
then this must
So,
be
and we
offered
have
to
good
the
balance
others
here.
too.
There's times the avatars don't talk to you,
Our internal selection team
but we
commits
do
the
want to
appropriate
treat them
time
truly
and
as your
attends all the
trainers.
relevant meetings.
So if I continue through then, templates, you're probably getting more AI support now to create your templates. For us, we have many. And the key AI feature I think I like in this space, which is becoming more available, is presenting a template in real time. So it looks like you might need to consider your risk register again at this point. So that's certainly something we're looking into potentially having in our space. And then just to move towards, kind of you're getting towards completing your course, as I've said before, whether it's scenarios or putting together knowledge checks, quizzes, and assessments, we are both avatar assisted in that space. And there is a lot more AI support coming in devising these knowledge checks and quizzes. And of course, the data is being captured. So that's where the insight comes from about who's progressing well, who is more accurate first time round versus needing extra trials, and who looks set to get a really good certification. We put a variety of different knowledge checks, into ours just to add variety and experience. And I wouldn't underestimate that, because I know a lot of clients can have quite a linear approach to that. And we need to gamify our learning, because that's what's making it exciting. And then, right or wrong, I think, have I got this one right? We still have all the classic things around try again, or this is the reasons that's not correct. And then when you get through to completion, as I say, Nadine mentioned it, whether it's nudges to get people to this point, it's what you do next, given you've completed a really good course, or before this point, it's giving more encouragement to get a completion versus an abandonment. AI is supporting all those areas. You might move into your certificate via a final assessment. So again, whether that's content support to create the assessment based on the larger set of content you've put in your course, or analyzing the information of what people have got right and wrong, so you can potentially even improve your questions. AI is present there as well. So you get people to a nice completion point, they get the certificate, they get their CPD points, and it's all highly immersive, interactive, engaged with lots of personalization. So I'm just going to summarize then. I think we're doing okay. I will just say these are key points to summarize. we'll do a final quick poll and see what questions are there, Nadine. So do brainstorm your process. Go away and look at the key challenges, the key problems, sit around as problem solvers and find the greatest space for where AI will help. Definitely, whether you're planning a project or you are in just continuous improvement mode, do your research, look at the places where that looks like a place in the system that could be improved. And then openly, we say, talk to your supplier, talk to your current supplier if you're happy. Whilst you're doing a project, talk to suppliers building a new LMS or a new CRM, and then certainly reach out to us if you want some objective, independent advice about where this works. So I think, Alan, I know it's kind of, we want to move to questions, but let's do this last poll and let's see then what we've got. So if you're happy to launch that, let's have a quick look at this other area. So really, this is, again, probably for our benefit, how well did we do? Which of these key areas do you think you're going to go away as homework and focus on? Is it leadership education and doing a bit more there? Is it reminding yourselves of where your value is? Is it, right, not just thinking system, but think process as an agenda item for the remainder of the year? Or is it, let's get around the table and brainstorm a bit more? So I think, Alan, if you launch that, we'll take a very quick look at what people think they'll do next.
Okay, so I'll end the poll. And then, so we've had a few answers coming through. I'll give it a few more seconds from people.
Great.
And then I'll just end the poll as we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, ending of the poll, and then I'll share the results.
Fantastic, Alan. Thank you. Oh, we seem to have a winner again. So we've got a lot of people saying, yeah, it's good. So we've almost got this consistency. You are going to go away and thank you and look at process, look at what we'd call opportunities, or just look at pain points. And I do believe if you go, well, essentially want to win back time there, and there, that's what we go back to our supplier and talk about. And we've got a little bit of traction in the other areas on education and value, which I'm going to take as a positive. Maybe some of you need to warm that up, but it's in a good place after at least 18 months of discussion around what's coming here. Good. Alan, kind of our voice in the sky. Are the questions come through? I certainly know I have a couple of additional ones I could talk to Nadine about, if not.
Sure. We've actually got a question, pre-webinar question saying, are Get Savvy able to help on being able to advise us on how to get started with AI? So there's a suggestion here of your opening topic of lots of awareness about AI, lots of thinking and talking about it, lots of staff using it under their desk and probably not able to disclose what they're doing. And a question, can we help advise them on governance, getting started, educating the leadership team, good use cases, and so on, how to essentially embed it safely within the organization? And I guess I'll pitch that one to you, Matt.
Yeah, so briefly, because we might have a question or two more, but for me, this is not spin. Our next webinar coming up at the end of November has a kind of practical how to approach. We do recognize in the sector people are not as far along as they'd like to be. They have other technology challenges. So yes is the short answer, both in this webinar format. The advice and services we're really starting to sharpen up are around getting your governance and policies set so that you feel safe to experiment. Looking at a roadmap, your tech roadmap is now a tech and AI roadmap. So those services where it fits, and then at a granular level, talking about requirements and supplier selection, whether that's learning or broader tech, where you can ask the right questions. So yes, if that's on your minds, we do that stuff. Right. Anything else from pre-questions?
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for on the webinar.
Yeah, no worries. So look, if anyone does have anything after today, if you're in reflective mode, please do get in touch via Alan. And Nadine, you've been very, very kind in your time and offering us input today. So you're an official stand down on any further questions, but thank you. And then just to kind of move to a close, that reiteration, we have our own LMS. We can stand it up for you in a very safe, rapid way. We have content services. We can share a demo for free if that's something you need. And we've got the more classic consultancy around learning that we are doing a lot, including with the BMS Final things for me then, just recaps to say, please do watch out for the recording, watch out for the research study. Please do download and read that. There's a lot of insight in there. Definitely avail of the course. You know, if you want to empower yourself around technology and see more of our LMS, that's there for you. And certainly get in touch if you need anything. And please do consider coming along again this month to November 27th in the morning. This is really about how do we get started with AI in very practical terms.